That's better. I think I have everything. Just about. Well, let's not dilly-dally. Let's just get started right now. Greetings, fellow citizens. This is citizenkong, and welcome to another Fez Night. Tonight's Fez Night shall be... Oh, I forgot the other part. Well, blah, 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 and I talk about some other weird stuff. You know what? Now that I'm old, I've been old for a while, I got my joint, it's swollen, and I have no memory of racking my knee, hitting it against something. And man, if I have to like kneel down, get down on my knees to do something, get down on my knees, which I avoid doing. Grown-ups don't do that. It really, really hurts. I'm really beginning to wonder. I think it's getting better, but I've already got like tennis elbow, and I don't play tennis. Oy vey! Which reminds me of a joke. There was a guy that wrote a book on Yiddish humor, and I kind of like this joke. Okay, so this guy's riding on a train, and he hears this old man going, "Boy, boy, am I thirsty. Oh, boy, am I thirsty." The guy's just kind of ignoring him. He's on the, riding on the train, reading his newspaper. Here's the old man again. "Boy, boy, am I thirsty." This goes on. This goes on for a while. Finally, the man gets so annoyed. He gets up, goes over to the water dispenser, fills up a paper cup of water, and brings it to the old man. And the old man, "Oh, thank you." And then he goes back to his paper. And then he hears the old man say, "Boy, boy, was I thirsty." I don't know. I just like that joke. I know it's lame. But it's that Yiddish humor. And so I was complaining about my knee injury, my swollen knee, and I felt like one of those old guys, the old Jewish guy. Eee. Should I start over? Did that sound anti-Semitic? Geez, I hope not. All right, time to don the fez. Greetings, fellow citizens. This is citizenkong, and welcome to another Fez Night. Tonight's Fez Night shall be called Father Fez. You know how I thought of that? Because today's Father's Day. And to all you dads out there, happy Father's Day. Father's Day or Mother's Day wasn't a big deal in our house, nor was any other holiday. At least, Christmas and Thanksgiving, my mom would make sure, and the kids. Oh, Christmas, we would put pressure on my dad to do something about that. But of course, we never got the Mother's Day or the Father's Day. Wasn't that big of a deal. My dad pretty much avoided anything that involves spending money. And the way I turned out, I kind of went the other way in the opposite direction. I just can't seem to hold on to money. And maybe I lack the inclination, to really, really make big money. But man, I look at the people that make really, like, $100,000 a year and all that. And it usually involves wearing some sort of suit and flying on jet planes and staying in hotels. I went with my friend Carolyn. We went to the Getty Museum. Basically, she took me to the Getty Museum. Well, I drove, but it was her whole gig because she's a bookseller back then. And so she had some sort of deal with the Getty Museum that she was going to sell them some books or something and have a meeting. And so her company paid for the hotel and various other expenses. And so we went there together and rode in the elevator. I remember just riding in the elevator and saw these other types. The same as Carolyn. Carolyn made good money, and but it involved like really taking your work home with you, you know. And I mean, the job didn't really have, you know, a 9 to 5, or in my case a 7:30 to 4, is it 4:30? 7:30 to 4 o'clock kind of thing, you know. That's one thing I like about being a regular worker, is you don't really take your work home with you. And I don't work in an office. Even though lately, I need to turn the screensaver off. Hold on a sec. The screensaver keeps popping on. All right. So anyway, what's the point of my story? Is I just don't have that sort of inclination. I don't really like that sort of thing. I mean, I really fell out of my element. I mean, I love Carolyn, you know, and I always feel very comfortable with her, except that sort of business world sort of thing. And I remember riding on the elevator and these other guys wearing a suit, and this woman in high heels, which I like. I like the whole women in office wear. I really totally dig that. That's the one thing I miss. If only I could have the inclination to work in an office, then I could see women wearing office wear. But of course, I bet it's not. I mean, these women were attractive, but I don't. You know, Carolyn's attractive, but I wouldn't. With my luck, the women at work wouldn't be all that great looking. In my job, though, there's only one hot woman. The other hot woman quit, and and boy, I tell you, boy, she's a flirt, and she knows it. She'll go walking through the shop, you know, and you know, she knows me by name. She'll say, "Hi, David." I'll say, "Hi, how are you?" And then she will walk away, and she's got great shoes, great legs, and she'll walk away, and I'll be looking at her, and then she'll always like turn and look over her shoulder and smile. And I'm not the only one. She does this to almost everybody. Of course, she's married, you know, and all that. But she just loves driving the guys crazy, you know. I have to be careful, though. They really do have a sexual harassment policy. So I have to, not that I think I would ever break that. But I don't know, I'll be surprised. Some women, there's any kind of thing, like touching them or just the wrong comment. Or even, you could say something like, "I like that dress, nice dress," but if you say it the wrong way, you know, it could turn into a sexual harassment issue. Let me turn this, what was I talking about? Yeah, well, I was talking about that whole, like, making big money, legally. I guess I could invent something. I have these crazy ideas for inventions or products. One thing I'd really like to develop is, you know how they have energy bars, you know, or that metrics or whatever, these bars that are basically a meal substitute, or Ensure, you know, that sort of that liquid sort of drink, you know, sweet tasting drink. Well, why don't they make a food bar, an energy product that tastes like a ham sandwich, or a cheddar cheese sandwich, or like pizza, or something like that. Something, I don't want something sweet, you know? I'm hungry, and I want something. I mean, it could even taste like Cheetos or whatever. But, you know, have the whole, like, fiber and the vitamins and the minerals and the calories to tide you over, like a meal substitute. I would really like, you know, and if I had access to, like, a kitchen, and laboratory, you know, I'd like working on that. There was another crazy idea if I was like a marketing guy. Remember when mousse was popular? You know, people would put mousse in their hair. I thought it'd be great to have Bullwinkle mousse for kids. I think kids would buy that. Moms would buy that for their kids. Bullwinkle mousse. Of course, it'd be all these like trademark things. You know, I have to get the lawyers involved. The creators of Bullwinkle. Boy, I'm really rambling. Yeah, the money. Yeah, Cyber9 Rounder commented on how I'm such a pothead and how I can't afford pot. That's probably true. I mean, the pothead part is true. Whether I can afford it or not, it's kind of I could be spending my money on other things or saving my money. So maybe I should think about quitting. And the other thing he said is that I have mental health issues. That's true. I cop to that. I mean, most of the stuff that Timmy says are out and out lies, things that he says about me. But the thing that I have mental health issues, that basic blanket statement is true. But does Timmy really know, what issues I have? No, because he was a nurse in some sort of like home, with elderly people that had mental issues. He is in no way qualified to diagnose anybody. That's the thing. And as far as me having mental health issues, I freely admit it. I freely admit the time that I went back on my meds, or times when I go off my meds. I've talked about it in Fez Night videos long, long, long ago in the past. And so the thing is, at least I admit I have a problem. Timmy is in complete denial. The dude's got major problems. And nor am I a doctor, can I diagnose it. But there's things you could see. I can't specify what he suffers from, but I can say that he has definite issues. And just by the way he treats people. One of the things I've noticed, he did it to me, and he did it to other people. Maybe I shouldn't name anybody. But he'll act like you're his friend, but there's under conditions. And one of those conditions is you can't talk to anybody he doesn't like. Now, I understand when you have some really hateful enemy, and then you befriend somebody, and then you see that friend talking to that person, complimenting them, acting like they're friendly to them. I know that hurts. That bothers one, bothers me. And but my reaction to that is basically to tell myself, well, that's not a friend I can trust. This timer went off. Maybe I better wind this up. I haven't even got started. That this is not a person I can trust. I will be civil to that person, but I don't need to consider them really a friend. They become an acquaintance, and if I'll just leave it at that. Timmy, on the other hand, he'll attack that person. He'll badmouth that person. There's two people that come to mind beside myself. But he started out really like, oh yeah, I like your stuff. Oh, Timmy used to post responses to my Fez Nights, and he would say complimentary things. But now it's become the total opposite. He's like a jealous female third grader, It's like, you're my friend, but these are the conditions for my friendship. And if I see you talking to the other kids on the playground, we can't be friends anymore. And besides, we can't be friends anymore. He'll go after them and viciously attack them, make things up about them, play games. And in my case, he threatened my ex-girlfriend, who he knew. I was still seeing her, but I always was still calling her my ex. We were having breakfast together, we were doing things together. And Tim was basically, how he showed up at the Air and Space Museum, without any invitation. He just showed up. He thinks he's Jack Ruby. Another clear indication of psychological issues. Thinks he's Jack Ruby. And so you've seen how he did that. I mean, we have it on video. He posted the video himself. And so besides that in the reel, he basically stalked me, and he threatened to stalk my ex-girlfriend. Clearly, the man is not right. But he won't admit it. I freely admit it. I'm complete. And if people want to spoof me or parody me, Put me in a straitjacket. Say I'm crazy, you know? I mean, that's the truth, you know? Those are the things they could say about me. Of course, I'm no real man. God, I saw this video this morning. See, usually I haven't been spending any time on YouTube. I don't go to the page where I look at the list of subscribers, but I did this morning, and I happened to see, and in my mind I was thinking, damn, I haven't heard from Real Man in a long time. Well, you know why? Because I haven't been on YouTube, you know, looking at my subscriber list. And I saw a thumbnail for Real Man, and apparently he's entered some contest. Something about King of the Internet or something like that. And he was complaining, he was saying, he saw that apparently you can vote 10 times, and he noticed that somebody only voted once, and he's like, no, you can vote 10 times, go back, vote the other 9 times, whatever. The point is, man, he looked terrible. He looked really, really bad. And he usually looks bad, but he looked worse than usual. Yeah, Real Man. What a hoot. Anyway, I'd really love to see Timmy and Real Man make a video together. I would really love that. Too bad they live in completely different parts of the country. You know, it just occurred to me, Timmy's always talking about all these places he's been, but where has he been lately? I mean, he'll drive out to gamble at the Indian reservation. I haven't seen any of him. I mean, he probably doesn't tell us if he's going to do that stuff. But it seems to me he hasn't been anywhere in a long time. He just hangs around. Hangs around OB. Lived there all his life. Never will leave. Probably die there. He's probably even born there. Born in the Navy hospital, somewhere around there. Some here in San Diego, maybe Balboa. See, I wasn't born here. And I think when I retire, I will leave San Diego. Because I won't be able to afford it. If I have to go live in Vietnam or something. Someplace cheap. I worked with where I used to work, there was a guy that ran the catering truck. He was from Cambodia. And he was telling me, oh man, you'll love it. You know, on your retirement money, you can have a nice house, and you can have a maid, and you can have this, and you can have that. But the thing is, man, I'm in like freaking Cambodia. Of course, he's from there, you know. But geez, there's that one guy. Used to spend a lot of time on YouTube. Now I see him a lot on LinkedIn. Boy, and he's really busy on LinkedIn and with the Occupy Wall Street stuff and all that. And I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but I see that he's around. And he lives in Vietnam, and but he's one of those like corporate guys. And I do admit I have a prejudice, that sort of thing. And turns out he's a real nice guy. I kind of, oh yeah, you're one of those corporate, advertising. Maybe a part of the reason I'm thinking about this a lot is I finished watching. I'm all caught up on Mad Men. Man, I love that show. And I think part of it has to do is I'm a child of the '60s. I was born in 1961, so a lot of the stuff I see on the show I remember. I remember the cars. I remember the fashion. I remember the attitudes. One of the things that's a hoot, it's really a hoot, is they're on a picnic. Don Draper and his beautiful blonde wife, and their 2 kids, and they're on a picnic, and they drove their Cadillac convertible, and they're in this nice grassy hill and enjoying nature. And so it's time to wrap up the picnic. And what does the wife do? She takes the picnic blanket and shakes it out, and all the paper plates and everything go onto the grass. Then they walk back to the car. That was very typical of the attitude back then. Very typical. Hell, I don't know if we did that. I don't remember a childhood memory of our family doing that. I think my father was one of those, he was one of those early, even though he didn't realize it, but he was really into the green thing. He hated the fact that the world was filled with chemicals, and he claimed he'd spent a lot of time being sick because where he worked for that big fancy laboratory that developed lots of weapons, he would call in sick a lot because he would be exposed to something that would make him sick. I'm the same way, except not as severe as my father. My father would take to bed for a day or two, you know, suffer severe migraines and dizziness, and probably being exposed to something at the laboratory. You know, I mean, he was an engineer, but there was stuff going on all around. Probably formaldehyde. I know later he found out that one of the things that he really, really made him sick was formaldehyde. Boy, I'm really just rambling, huh? What was the point of all that? Oh, I'm talking about Dad. It's Father's Day. Yeah, so Timmy. Yeah, you know, lactating Pop shared a video with me, and I happened to watch that. And I thought, you know, we sort of had an agreement that I wasn't going to talk about him and he wouldn't talk about me. But then he replayed that video about Z Moulton, with Z Moulton, and claiming that I stink. And you can see in the video how rude he is to Z. Z was really looking forward to meeting Timmy. Came all the way from Australia. That's the thing about Timmy is not a nice person. If he's acting nice, watch out. Watch out, he's up to something. Hey, I have today's paper in my hand. Oh, and this Rodney King died. I can remember the Rodney King riots when it was going on. I lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. I had 2 roommates. And I give long stories about my roommate days. Lots of trippy stuff happened. And at that period during the Rodney King riot, I had a guy he was originally from Hungary, but he and his mother moved to Switzerland. And he left Switzerland, came to the United States, basically was staying here illegally. He overstayed his visa, and he just, you know, and he wanted to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. No way he sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He had this really thick accent. Tall, handsome guy. Kind of thought he was dumb as a rock, though. But it had a good heart. It had a really good heart. And my other roommate happened to be black at that time. And I can remember sitting on the couch with the Hungarian and my black roommate. I don't know where he was born. I think he was actually from Detroit. Because he would tell me stuff. It was kind of interesting. He would tell me about how he hated the cold, and that was fairly common in the black community. He said that, I remember we were watching the riots, and it was in the summertime, and he said to me, he said, yeah, you know, I don't know whether he said we or we African Americans or black people. I don't remember what he said, but he said when it gets hotter, we become more active. Hey, I had this other trippy story about how he did, and it's not common of all African Americans, but he was claustrophobic. And he said that when he was a kid playing in Detroit, they were playing some game in the street, and he fell, and he slid underneath the car and got stuck. And he just said it was like the worst experience in his life, or something like that. I wouldn't like it either, but I don't know if I would freak out. Unless there was gasoline or something dripping on me, then I might freak out. But that was a very strange time, watching the Rodney King riots. I guess, and having a black roommate. And me being a white liberal with all the white liberal guilt and everything. It was not a comfortable situation. But I feel kind of lucky, in a way, that I had somebody I was sitting next to that could, I don't know, give me sort of an opinion from another group, another person's perspective. And the Hungarian guy, oh yeah, Hungarian guy wasn't racist at all or anything, you know. And yeah, I remember he was just being sad about the whole thing, being upset by it. And now Rodney King's dead. And I don't see him as any kind of hero or anything like that. I just see him as some unfortunate man that was getting beat by the cops. He was running from the cops. On one hand, I mean, I grew up around some of the people I knew or sort of had acquaintances with in high school, junior high, had been thrown in juvenile hall, had even been sent to work camps. One of these two people I knew. You know, when you're kind of a nerdish kind of kid, you know, in ASB and all that, it is kind of like trippy to have acquaintances, to go to some of these people's homes when you're this nerdy white kid, you know, who you know gets good grades and never gets in trouble, hanging out with these guys. I just found it interesting, you know, and so I would hear lots of stories about how he got beat up by the pigs. This guy got beat up by the pigs, and, you know, blah blah blah, and so you know, I sort of have this sort of police brutality. And I think it's true, man. In San Diego, these people, it hasn't happened a lot lately, but there was this rash of police shooting people that were really not offering any real resistance, you know? And so here was Rodney King, you know, alcoholic. Somebody said that he beat his wife. I don't know about that. But obviously he was intoxicated and running from the cops. And I do understand one thing: if you're a cop and you're chasing somebody down, that adrenaline gets pumping, and you're thinking, God damn, I'm out of shape. I got this belt on me with all this stuff, pepper spray, handcuffs, and a gun, and I'm wearing these shoes, and I'm running trying to catch this guy, and I would get pissed off. I'd say, fuck that guy for making me run. And when you do catch him, you're like, fucking bastard, why'd you run? But that doesn't make it right. All right, so, oh, watch out. I have the newspaper in my hand. Okay, we'll go through it real quick. I've gone on quite a while. Yeah. I'm not going to make it a 40-minute Fez Night. I'll try not to. So this headline caught my eye, and it said, reforms are rolled back. 40 years after Watergate, many changes prompted by the scandal are gone. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and read this verbatim, but I won't read the whole article. On June 17, 1972, a bungled break-in at a Democratic National Committee headquarters exposed one of the most notorious abuses of presidential power and led to a wave of reforms of U.S. laws and institutions. Now, on the 40th anniversary of the Watergate scandal, many of those changes have been rolled back or eliminated by the Supreme Court. I lost my place. Have been rolled back or eliminated. Court rulings scrapped limits on campaign contributions. Congress has, that's important, they have scrapped limits on campaign contributions. That's making, what I talked about, Chip Franklin, claiming, because he has an agenda, he's going to claim that money is not power, which it is. And then some other yahoo was saying that when he said something about pulling a gun on me, he said, "Oh yeah, well you basically threatened him." I called him a fool. In no way is that grounds for having a gun pulled on me. So with the limits on campaign contributions being rolled back, we're going to have a democracy where basically it's not a democracy. The people with all the money will control everything. And it's bad enough. It was bad enough before. It's always been bad. But to just pretend that it doesn't happen and take away what little restrictions we have on it, there should be more restrictions on how much you can donate towards a campaign. I would even say who could donate. Like somebody like, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you have no business contributing money like Rupert Murdoch. I believe he's contributed money to American campaigns in one way or another. Maybe a PAC super fund or something like that. Congress has returned the function of special prosecutors to the Justice Department. Executive orders issued by President George W. Bush. Okay, well, let's read this again. Congress has returned the function of special prosecutors to the Justice Department. Executive orders issued by President George W. Bush in the aftermath of September 11th claimed power for the Oval Office to ignore U.S. laws and international treaties. It's heavy duty, man. President Obama has retained some of those extraordinary wartime powers, and his use of drones to attack terrorist suspects has drawn accusations of international law violations. Yeah, that's the future of war, is that you don't see the blood and the violence. You just do it with remote control. Yeah, I don't like that idea. There's been a lot of science fiction books. There was even an episode of Star Trek that dealt with that, of that distancing yourself from the actual. I mean, in a way, I'm not a warrior, you know. I mean, if you piss me off enough, I might pick up something and try to hit you, and then I'll probably get my ass kicked and killed. But I can actually say I don't think I've ever run away from a fight. No, but I've got my ass kicked. But anyway, but I have won fights. I have. As a kid. One or two. The advantage, though, for me winning a fight is there can't be a lot of people around. Usually it was one-on-one or just one or two people standing around. I get performance anxiety around crowds. Yeah, one time I got my butt kicked pretty good, and there was a whole bunch of standing around. Yeah, and it was a fight with no provocation, really. I wasn't angry. It was just like I was singled out, because it was junior high, and it was like a large Hispanic population. And it was just sort of like, you know, culled from the herd kind of thing. Oh yeah, he looks like a good target. And this guy, basically, to make himself look bitching in front of his friends, just didn't even really pick a fight with me, just came up and started hitting me. I was like, what? I totally got my butt kicked because I hadn't had a chance to get pissed off. If I get angry, I'm a different person. I think it must be that Irish blood in me. But, why am I talking about that? It's talking about science fiction and violence, and I don't know why I talked about that. Anyway, I was saying I'm not a warrior. But I think there probably would be an advantage. Maybe we would fight less wars or something. Probably not. If there was only a way we could go back to the swords and axes, you know, and catapults, I just love those medieval, you know, films, you know, or whatever, you know, like Braveheart or whatever, where they have the horses and the guys on foot with the swords and all that, where they're really engaged. They're face to face, fighting each other instead of launching bombs. Well, the catapults. Maybe take the catapults away too. I don't know. Maybe we would fight. We would engage in war less, especially, and I've heard lots of people say this, especially if our president, our leaders, our generals were out there in the field risking their lives too. Maybe they wouldn't be so quick to want to fight, you know? Put their own ass out there. I'll go ahead and finish this article. Now this is interesting where it says the guy, who was it that said this? Somebody said, I don't think Richard Nixon in his darkest hour would have authorized torture, said John Dean, the White House lawyer whose testimony at the Watergate hearings linked the break-in to the Attorney General in the White House. You know, I've heard this said before. The current climate in the Republican Party is that if Reagan or Nixon were alive today, they would look at him as being way too moderate. Way too moderate. I think with the Tea Party and all that now, the Republican Party, the conservative movement, it's just gone way too far. Way too far. They won't compromise. And it's all this like religious crazy fervor, you know. Dogma. Let's see. I dog-eared this page. Why did I do that? Oh, I came across a picture of Russell Brand. He's in a movie called Rock of Ages. It seems like it might be a movie I would kind of like to see, but it stars Tom Cruise, and I won't watch any movie with Tom Cruise in it. No, I did see that last film by Tom Cruise was in. Nicole Kidman, she was in it. And it was directed by... One of my favorite directors, and his name is completely escaping me right now. Maybe it'll come to me later. Oh man, I'm completely drawing a blank. Anyway, doesn't Russell Brand look like Z Moulton? Or Z Moulton looks like Russell Brand. No, I'll just say it that way. Doesn't Russell Brand look like Z Moulton? In this picture, he really does. I would show it to you, but that's a violation of YouTube policy. I can't use any images or anything like that I don't own. God, in this, I saw this documentary, One Nation Under Dog. That caught my attention. And it's going to be on Monday on, I don't have cable. Maybe if somebody uploads it to BitTorrent, but I don't think I want to watch this. One Nation Under God. They say a dog may be man's best friend. They say a dog is man's best friend. There's a typo right here. They say a dog may be man's best friend, but alas, the relationship is not always reciprocal. The plight of unwanted canines consigned to shelters is detailed in the new documentary, One Nation Under Dog, Stories of Fear, Loss, and Betrayal. God, man. I think that'd be really upsetting. I don't think I could watch that. Well, that's it for the newspapers. And I've rambled on. I want to thank Monk and Bongo Congo for those times when I haven't made a Fez Night, and they posted their own version of Fez Night. And I want to say hello to Maria. Hey, Maria. And Lammy Sinclair, on that video over the park, she paid me a compliment, and somebody spammed out her comment. So jealous. And Maddie Wilder. Thanks for asking about Fez Night. I like your channel name, Maddie Wilder. I just like the name Maddie, short for Madeline. Any of you guys remember that show called Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis? And something bad would be happening or whatever, and Bruce Willis would be yelling, "Maddie! Maddie!" I love that show. Man, it's Stanley Kubrick. That's his name. He was an American director, but more or less became an expat, moved to England, and made pretty much all his movies over there, I think. Stanley Kubrick. You know, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon. He's made a lot of good... Oh, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Was it Eyes Wide Shut was his last film, and it did have Tom Cruise in it. So I had to see it. I kind of liked it. It was like a big bomb. One of the things, though, that was really bad or stupid about America, stupid Americans, is that they cut out a lot of Eyes Wide Shut before it'd be shown in the U.S. Or they cut out certain scenes. I want to see the whole thing, uncut, man. It was banned in Boston. No, it wasn't banned in Boston, but that's one of those things. You sell a book, it says banned in Boston or something, and more people want to buy it. All right, everybody. This is Citizen Kong. Have a great week, and thank you for watching Father Fez. Cheers.